The greatest game on earth. Billions of fans, millions of players, and the action just gets better with age. That's how it feels for the fans of Liverpool Football Club, and their lives are about to get even sweeter. Thanks to a fan first vision and some handy AI technology called Wasabi Air, the fan experience for Liverpool just went into extra time. Find out more on this episode of Future Proof.
The future is here already. It's just not evenly distributed. Yet. Today's world teems with innovation. The nexus of hardware, software, and human ingenuity promises a revolution in possibilities. What does tomorrow look like? Witness Future Proof.
Yours truly, Eric Kavanaugh here. And folks, I am tickled pink with amazing guests today. Yours truly has been a huge soccer fan since the smallest of ages. I played when I was 7. I just loved it. I've always loved soccer. It's frankly the only game I can watch, even if I don't have a dog in the match. Even if it's just teams I don't even know, I can sit there and watch World Cup. But of course, what's the best? The Premier League. And who's the best in the Premier League right now? Liverpool Football Club. We have Drew Crisp, Senior Vice President of Digital, on the show today from Liverpool Football Club. Are you kidding me? And I've got Michael Welts, Chief Marketing Officer of Wasabi, also an absolute power player in the data and AI world these days. We're going to talk about what's happening. We're going to talk about really cool AI technology that makes recording videos and editing videos a super fun job. A lot of the editing stuff used to be very boring and time consuming, and you got to work all day to find the right clips to get something out the door. Now we've greased the tracks with something called Wasabi Air. We're going to talk about that on the show today. And first of all, let me bring in Drew Crisp. Thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations, knock on wood. I know you're as superstitious as I am, but
Yeah.
you folks are crushing it out there. What's your secret? What's the magic?
Look, thank you for that introduction. I think that's probably the best introduction I've ever had. I couldn't even begin to tell you what the secret sauce is. One, because it's secret, and two, actually, because I have no idea. But yeah, we're crushing it. The teams are crushing it on the men and women's front. So we are, very, very thankful for where we are as a club right now.
Yeah, and I'll bring in Michael Welts from Wasabi as well. Michael, thank you for bringing me in. Put me in, coach. I'll talk to Liverpool all day long. You guys are riding high as well. This Wasabi Air. I mean, I've known about Wasabi since the dawn of your company, of course, and we had shows way back when. But you're just crushing it these days, and I love that you've taken this focus because you've been focused now on media and big media and helping them with storage and stuff like that. That's very important. But now with Wasabi Air, you're facilitating the creative process in ways that make creators so happy because creators want to create. They don't want to run logs on files and do all sorts of functions and things. They want to just create their magic. And you've now greased the tracks with Wasabi Air to make that happen. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's right. This is exciting for us as well because frankly, I mean, cloud storage has been around for what seems like forever now, but this finally gives context to that data. And honestly, what's the point of migrating to the cloud if you can't find anything?
Right.
and that's what we've done is with this AI recognition, or what we call Wasabi Air capability. It now gives that ability to the sports, the entertainment world, to instantly turn that into leverageable content that improves the fan experience. Honestly, as the marketing guy for a storage company, it couldn't be more exciting to actually talk in a language that the everyday fan can appreciate what we do. Nobody really cares about data storage, but they do care about seeing that replay when they want
That's
to,
right.
or seeing that moment. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. And Drew, I'll throw it back over to you. Obviously, it's all about the fans. I mean, this is a fan-supported industry, and Premier League is what the name would imply. It's the Premier League. It's amazing. I mean, we, of course, here in the States, we just got Lionel Messi about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And when he came over to play for Inter Miami, I watched every single game, and he's fantastic. But they're not in the Premier League. You guys are in the Premier League. In fact, you're at the top, knock on wood. It's all about the fan experience. And to Michael's point, now with Wasabi Air, your creators can just dive right into all this content, and it allows the expeditious location of just the right shot to get people excited, right?
Look, 100%. Firstly, by the way, I've just got to acknowledge this based on what you said there, Michael. You've got the hardest job in the world, CMO for a cloud storage company initially, like, and yet you turned Wasabi into a complete powerhouse. So, like,
Thank you.
clearly,
Thank you.
my job's easy because fans love football clubs, right? Yeah, look, the one thing we've always competed for, and I say off the pitch, is people's time. And in the social world we live in, like everyone's time is so valuable that you're fighting for it. You're fighting to be like on their screen, part of the scroll. So the quicker we get content out there, the quicker we get their attention and we get their time, the quicker it adds value to all of our partners and all of our fans. So, that's fundamentally, that's what we're chasing. And where we used to spend hours, and well, in some instances we still do because we've still got lots to do and we still are on the journey, but like where we spent hours looking for things, now we can just spend seconds, and then editors can do what editors do best, create. And that's what we want them to do.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And the game itself, of course, is always exciting. And what I love about it is that it really is a game of excellence. I mean, you have to be in shape to do this stuff. You have to practice. You have to learn how to work with your teammates. You said you got to, transition in the coaching environment, and that's always a bit of a challenge. Of course, here in America, we had Ted Lasso, and that took the world by storm. So now there are even more soccer fans in the US of A. And I've always wanted it to really get there. And I think, honestly, this innovation could help extend even further the impact and the positive impact that the Premier League has on people's lives, because it's what we do for fun. We get excited about it. We look forward to the games. And I'm a creator, so I appreciate the difficulty, the challenges of creating good content. And when you are burdened by long processes and just scrolling through video, trying to find the right clip, where's that one with where we can see his face clearly as he hits the goal? Well, now you can do that with this technology, and that again energizes the creative team, and they energize all the fan base, right, Drew?
Yeah, definitely agree with all those things. I'd say, I mean, soccer in the US is the fastest growing region in the world right now. And so, we absolutely recognize that, there's a fan base, a huge fan base for Liverpool out in the US that we want to target. I'd also say that it's not just about the here and now and the live games. All of the fans love the history, they love the heritage, they love the comparisons. So the other beauty of what we're trying to do with Wasabi Air is, if there is a point that says, I want to see all of the goals we've scored against this team over the last 10 years, the speed at which we'll be able to do that is going to be huge. Wow. And that's why, this is why it's a game changer. And fans love that stuff as much as they love show me that clip again of the goal that was scored, in the last 20 minutes, well, or in the last 4 hours, depending on the blackout, right? But that's, it's so we've now got capability that serves all of those purposes, and that's genuine. That is game changing.
Yeah, if I can jump in on that. So to Drew's point, imagine where the fans, whether it's on television or live in the stadium, have seen Mo Salah score one of his phenomenal goals, and someone in the stadium is sitting there, or again at home, and says, what are the 5 most historic moments in Mo Salah's career? And you combine that with an LLM platform and a machine learning platform like us, and it basically kicks out, here are the 5 top goals or the 5 top historic moments. Oh, by the way, do you want to see the video of that? And that can literally be delivered as a personalized experience right down to the app that Drew works on with the MyLFC Experience app.
That's crazy. And what I'm realizing here, and I'll throw this over to Michael and then to Drew as well, is we're now going to have video capabilities like we have analytical capabilities. So you mentioned, and we watch these sports games all the time, sports fans do, and it's always fun when they say, oh, this team has X percentage chance, or they've done this 4 times, and these really obscure stats, which we can do because of analytical capabilities, because there are tools and technologies built to enable that kind of thing. And now we have the capacity, as you suggest, Michael, to show the videos themselves. So put all that in context. And that's fun. I mean, you want to watch the game for the chances. You want to watch the game for great saves. But we all like the goals, right? We like when they score. And I'm the kind of person, I like here on our cable television, you can pause a live game for 30 minutes. All right. So what I'll do is I'll pause it for like 10 minutes, And that way I can kind of go back in time and watch stuff all the time. And when there is a goal, I'll watch it like 5, 6 times because it's just that much fun. But to have that capacity after the games to be able to look back at the repository, at all that history, Drew, I'll
Right.
throw it over to you. That's very exciting because you can appreciate where your team has been, where they are now, where they're going. All that comes into play when you have all that context at the ready, right, Drew?
I think there's two parts to that, which I think is exciting. There is one part where it says we've got access to all of this kind of archive, and therefore, we can show, we can clip those moments, create those moments. And then there's another part which says, actually, if we've got access to all of that archive, we're not that far away from putting it in front of the fans, so they can choose what they want to see. And so
Wow.
actually, both of those things are going to be, it's really, really important. I mean, it's a bit like saying, in your Netflix or your Amazon, you've got a library of films. Well, what happens if you wanted to stitch some together? Like, what happens if you wanted to take the best clips from all of the films that you love and you wanted to stitch together? Now, maybe that probably wouldn't work with films, but you can do that with sport. And I think that's absolutely, it's definitely where, it's definitely where we're headed. It's the trajectory. And actually, then that is the best personalized experience. We all talk about personalization and targeting, and can't we, show people what we think they want to see? Well, there's nothing more personalized than a fan choosing it. So,
Right.
so actually, like, for us, that's nirvana, and there's lots to be done to get there, but we are absolutely on that journey. And I think it's hugely exciting, and that the archive that we have, the content that we have, no different to any other organization that's got sitting on all of this content, is hugely valuable. But we've never had an ability to really surface that value in the way that we have now. And for us, that's the biggest difference we're going to see in the next 3-5 years.
Yeah,
Eric,
I
I
just
think
love it. Go ahead.
Eric, I think you raised a really interesting point, which is, to date, probably for the last 5 years, especially because of the companies like the AWSs, the Googles of the world, and their involvement in sports, it's all been around analytics. And over the last 2 years, it's all been about generative AI. But if you go back literally a century, all this content has been sitting there, whether it's
Right.
in the movie industry or in the sports industry. And it's in some cases, it's still sitting on tape in boxes and working its way to an affordable cloud. And
Wow.
now the cloud has made it so that it's affordable. And now, because of AI is being used as if you will, a transformative kind of force to change the evolution of the industry. There's literally 500 exabytes of stored data and content just in sports media and entertainment sitting
Wow.
there waiting to be cataloged. And that's not even including, obviously, the games that are in real time right now.
Right.
It's going to change, just like Netflix did for the movie industry. It's going to change how sports entertainment actually works all the way down to the fan engagement.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can testify to that, because right outside my door is our room. Well, in fact, there's 3 rooms with tapes, actually, from almost like games probably going back to 70s, 80s on Betamax, and old tapes all the way through. And we're moving that into the cloud. But I think what we're seeing, and I liked your analogy there when it came to the data and analytics. Ultimately, content is still data, but there was no mechanism, as I said before, to really capitalize on that and value that data. I mean, there's a huge value that organizations are sitting on. We've now got an ability to surface it quicker, better, faster, and in a way that we know people want. So yeah, it's definitely going to shift the industry.
Well, and there's another side of the equation here. I'm realizing just talking to you, gentlemen, of kids and helping kids appreciate not just what they already see in the games they're able to go to, but I think when they can experience the rich history of these teams, and of course, Liverpool has a tremendous history, it helps the parents communicate to the kids and helps the kids appreciate what
Yeah.
we love as parents and what we went through to be able to go back and show games from the 1980s. I mean, I remember Klinsmann doing this amazing shot in like 1980 where the ball comes in, it's World Cup, and he's standing right outside the box and he just goes pop with one pop of his leg. He stops the ball, pops it up like this, and he pivots and goes, oh, pow, and bangs it into the goal. You're just like, wow. To be
Yeah.
able to find that kind of thing as a creator and show and share with people, that gets me excited. That has to get every soccer fan excited.
it's just fun hearing the excitement in your voice when you say that you're talking to Drew versus the storage guy. Okay. I mean, we're all kids at heart. We all love sport, right? And Drew represents that. Even though he's a digital IT guy himself, he's the cool kid. And Drew, when we sat down with Drew for the first time 3 years ago, it was all about what are you doing to data, and how do we help preserve your content? And we can do that affordably in the cloud. And honestly, it wasn't a real sexy story. It was just about getting it to the cloud, saving money, and that's it, and backing up and protecting it. But then we said, okay, where do you think this goes? And he said, well, ultimately, I want to turn this into a fan experience. How can I leverage this data? And we started looking at the opportunities out there and the technologies. And Wasabi Air comes as a result of an acquisition, which literally comes as a result of our discussions with Drew. He's a true pioneer in this industry, in sport worldwide, not just at the Premier League. Drew is being written up in every magazine right now about his vision for where he's taking sport. And it's fun to watch it come to fruition, because he's literally changing the game, leveraging AI unlike anybody else.
Yeah, this is very cool. And Drew, I'll throw it over to you. One thing that really excites me, and I'm guessing that we're going to agree on this, is that once you're in the cloud, it's easier, at least in certain circumstances, to leverage new technologies. So when you talk about layering AI over existing material, that gets very interesting, because the power of some of these algorithms to be able to catalog data, tag data, compress, of course, move, all sorts of different things that we do with it. But the ability to catalog massive tranches of files and understand what's there, and then expedite access to exactly what you want, that's a huge deal. And that's what we're talking about here. Wasabi Air sits on top of your storage and allows you to navigate almost like a card catalog would for books in the library, but in a much more dynamic, visual way, right? So having that vision, I have to say hats off to you, because that is a very, very, it's a beautiful mission, because you want to make it a fan experience. You're caring about the fans, and that's what they care about, is they want a team who cares about them. I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. I don't think our managers care about the fans. Like, we just broke the record for most losses in a year, okay? It's not the kind of record you want to break. So it's like, I know what it's like when the management does not care about the fans. That's the Reinsdorfs. That's who they are. They're in Chicago. They've been destroying my team my entire life. We do have one.
The Bulls, though?
Yeah, they did. That's true. Maybe I'll give them some credit for that, but I'll throw it back to you. Drew, it's awesome that you had this vision and now it's coming into reality. It's got to be exciting for you.
Can I first say, I thank you for all those accolades. And as Michael knows, I'm not very good at all of that stuff, and I really always appreciate him saying it. There's always a team behind a team, and I'm just one of the guys here. So, but I do appreciate the accolades. The exciting thing and the very fortunate thing in my job is I do get to see all of the vision and strategy and plans and what we're trying to achieve start to come to life.
Wow.
And that's what we're seeing with Wasabi Air and content, and that's what we're seeing across the board in some other areas. Also within my sort of remit, the beautiful opportunity we have is, because I look after media as well as marketing as well as all of the product work, gluing those things together has the biggest impact. It's not about like doing just one thing at the exclusion of other. So using Wasabi Air to curate content to get things out quicker, putting that into a product, and what we're planning to do in terms of evolving our product experiences to simplify all of that for fans, and then being able to market something as an opportunity, a product that adds huge amount of value that a fan will want. That's a beautiful thing, but it comes from being able to kind of glue all of those things together against and ultimately a vision and a plan. And look, AI has been around for years. I mean, with my geeky hat on, I did AI when I was at university, and that was a long time ago, which I don't want to think about. But AI's never really had the compute power that it's got now, or the business problem solved. Suddenly, we've put all of this content into the cloud. So number one, that's brilliant, because it means that our editors and producers can work from anywhere, as opposed to having to come into an office and work against a 24 disk spinning server. Like, who wants to do that, right? And So, whether they're in a coffee shop or whether they're at home, I don't really want to know where they are, to be honest with you, as long as they're working. But being able to access that. And so suddenly you've got all of this content and you've got all of these people going, blimey, I could get access to this really, really easily. Now I want them to do the creative bit, not spend time looking for stuff. And so,
Right.
That's where suddenly Wasabi Air is solving a big business problem. And the value of that is going to be enormous. But it becomes even more valuable when you put it into a product and experience that's got a marketing vision for something that fans are going to want. And then suddenly it kind of comes to life.
Yeah, and Michael, I'll throw this over to you. It was a few years ago now, not too long, maybe 2-3 years ago, that I noticed on my phone it automatically grabbed a bunch of photos and put some music track behind it and created this little video. And I was like, well, gosh darn, that's actually pretty sophisticated. And we're seeing this confluence of technologies now of media editing, cataloging, video storage, all these things kind of coming together. And I realized back then, wow, this is very interesting. But what you've done now in this partnership with Liverpool is basically opened that door for fans of all shapes and sizes, of all walks of life, to have their experience. I mean, that's the vision. And that is just so much fun to do because everyone wants to be a creator. Everyone is a creator to a certain extent. It's just they may not have the tools necessary or the time. But when you grease those tracks and let your fans really dive in, first of all, you're going to learn a lot about them by seeing what they choose instead of using algorithms to show them what you think they want to watch. When they can watch, that whole turns everything around. But then to be able to create these movies, it's just fun and interesting, and it extends the value, it extends the relationship, it extends the fun, right, Michael?
That's right. Again, it's AI as a transformation tool, as a force multiplier in terms of efficiency. I think there's a stat out there that says something around the fact that 69% of sports fans engage daily with sports content on their smartphone. So they're going to their phone to watch a game, to get the scores, whatever it might be. Now think of it from Drew's perspective. He can actually take a moment in time in live or real time in a game and then instantly turn that around into a sport moment via social media.
Wow.
Take a clip and go. And suddenly the fan can, take that and share that in their friends network, etc. So again, he's getting even greater brand loyalty within his fandom by being able to customize that content and then the fan customizing that content beyond it. It's a game changer on both sides of the table.
Yeah, and I'll jump in on that point because the other challenge we always have, every sports club has it, is how much content can you really create? Right. Because there's always a capacity. And even when you've created it, how much airtime does it get? Where do you put it? Right. And so actually, if you've also got this capability, which means you can do even more with the content that you have got, that's equally important as creating new, because then we're kind of, we are getting more relevant content without necessarily having to shoot more, without having to try and capture more, without having to try and get players' times, managers' times, other thing. And actually you can take all we've got, stitch it together in a current experience. And so if I look at things like our match center, in due course, our ability to be able to immediately splice a bit of content relevant to what's going on in that game, even though it's historic, and putting it into the feed makes a massive difference. And so just because it's historic content doesn't mean it won't have relevancy in a moment. We can use Wasabi Air to actually find that and we haven't shot anything new. We haven't put a camera anywhere. And that is also something that we have to use. And that's why, things like AI and where it's driving that efficiency and effectiveness will make a difference. And that's so again, it kind of all comes back to that. Glue it together into an experience and actually look at the incremental value that it delivers.
And I think it's also important to, in the world of sport, to think of it from the business perspective, not only the fan perspective, which, I have to think, I do a lot of sponsorships and sports marketing as well. And, for Drew, he can turn this into entirely new content channels. So it allows him, if you will, the net stream capability to create more revenue opportunity. But when he or his team has to look at me as a sponsor, and I say to them, what's my return on this? I remember the original demo we did with Drew. We said, let's take a look at how many fans in the stadium happen to be sporting a Nike logo on their shirt.
Oh,
And we
wow.
can do that, right? And so
That's crazy.
to a Nike, seeing how many fans are wearing a Nike logo in there says, hey, this is, that's a target audience for us. We want to go after Liverpool because Nike fans love Liverpool. And again, it helps to support the whole idea of a sponsorship and why it makes sense for companies like Wasabi.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I mean, there are lots of benefits that you get from all this. And, as you gentlemen are talking, I'm thinking to myself, on the team side, on the management side, for the coaches to be working with the players, that's another whole side of the value as well, right, Drew? Because now you can show very specific plays and say, look, notice how he blocks this guy out here, and that opens the lane for him to come in and score this goal. Those kinds of things, the blocking and tackling, if you will, which aren't very sexy. It's not the goal scoring, but it's what leads to the goal scoring. That's what helps coaches work with their team members to get their side to run in the ultimate efficiency, right, Drew?
Yeah, and definitely. And I'm being brutally honest, that's not even an area we've explored yet. Sorry, Michael, you were going to say.
No, my apologies for interrupting. But I do, again, when we were all doing the pilot of this thing, I think one of the first pieces of feedback he gave me was we actually noticed some differences in throw-ins and where the ball was being placed in the field against certain competition. And to Eric's point,
Wow.
it gives a little bit of a competitive edge when you analyze that kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's more and more of this that will be done. I mean, we have football analysts in the different training grounds, and we have got a team of analysts in Melwood looking at the women's game. We have a team of analysts in the AXA Training Centre. I should have said AXA Melwood, by the way, but in the AXA Training Centre all the time, obviously, for looking at the game and passages of play and what's worked and what hasn't. We haven't yet even begun to explore how we could have helped them and apply Wasabi Air, but there would be opportunity.
Well, I mean, the World Series is going to start tonight here in the States. And of course, the World Series we joke it's the World Series. There's one team now in Canada, I guess. There used to be two. But the rest are here in the States. But Japan has picked up on it. Of course, Ohtani is just unbelievable. I mean, the other day he was 6 for 6 with 2 home runs and like 6 RBIs or something crazy like that. So these are truly global sports. But what made me think of that is in baseball, they will see where all the balls go that you hit, and they track all that information. So that's why you see the outfield shift, the infield shift left and right for every single player, especially for good players like dead pull hitters, like old Ted Williams, right? I think he was a dead pull hitter. And you see that in the soccer world too. And you're just kind of opening the door now to a whole new layer of analysis and understanding and appreciation, right, Drew?
You've just triggered another thought, because one of the things that we've always had, like pockets of data. So there's like things called Opta data that tell us, what's going on in the game, that is used both in terms of, at a professional detailed sport level and an athlete level, all the way through to like things like goals scored, forward passes made, side passes, all of that stuff. And never before have we actually been able to take that data and then kind of overlay it in terms of finding certain passages of play easily. And we're now working on how do we ingest the Opta data on top of what we've already got in terms of the content and the actual games. And then if you can start to drive the meta tagging with all of that data as well, our ability to search for, find me a game where, we broke from our own box and scored a goal within 15 seconds, you can find every clip, right? Because you've got,
wow.
So the other part of all of this is it's not just about, I can use Wasabi Air on the content I've ingested. If I can use Wasabi Air on the content I've got, plus some data feeds, plus some facial recognitions, plus some other external information, I've taken the value of data from this to this.
Yeah, that's
Which
right.
doesn't work on radio, I just realized, but you know what?
It's okay. We're capturing the video too, so we're all good.